Hello there, my loyal 3 viewers. Today we're going to do something real nice. We're going to put one of my statements in my original video, why Metal Gear Solid 5 is better than you think. Link in the description. I made a statement in that video where I said that the Cqc in Metal Gear Solid 5 is the most realistic it's ever been. Today we're going to put that to the test. We're going to go over the Cqc that I've recorded with the game. We're going to talk about what martial art it presides to, and whether or not its application in this game is realistic. But before we get into that, I got one of those little returning cutscenes for when you go back to Mother Base after a while. So let's just give that a watch, because that's always fun.
No, DD, stop! Snake.
Sorry. Guess I've been away a while.
Don't be such a stranger. It's a bad example for the men. And he gets pretty lonely, too. DD, come!
So up first we got a good old-fashioned leg sweep. This is coming straight out of judo, which shows Metal Gear's Japanese roots. The way Snake employs it is by putting pressure right up on the nose, directly in the face, and sliding his leg right on back into his opponent's legs, making it very difficult for them to counter him. In short, this is practical. If you're trying to learn Snake's style, this is going to be the easiest thing to master. Here he's just straight up shoving the guy, which he only does if there's something hard behind them, or if they're on the ledge, which is practical. It doesn't always go that well, but it's still practical. Now Snake's going to employ one of my most favorite techniques, which is the rear naked chokehold. This can be traced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It involves putting pressure on the back of the neck as well as the 2 carotid arteries towards the front sides of the neck. You do this by 1 pulling upwards with your left arm and 2 pushing downwards with your right arm using the strength of your back to push in the majority of your force. If done correctly, this will make an opponent pass out in around 6 seconds, and in this game it takes about that long to knock out an opponent. Snake also makes the wise decision to trap one of the opponent's arms above their head so they can't fight back as much. All they can really do is pull with that one arm, and if they don't tuck their chin into their neck fast enough, they're pretty much full on open for whatever Snake wants to do at this point. So this move is very practical, it's pretty easy to learn, and it's just generally a great thing to know. I'm going to be honest with you guys on this one. I know this move comes straight out of judo, and I've seen masters perform this move. However, I myself have not tried it or practiced with it, so I can't give an accurate judgment of it, nor can I judge its practicality, but it is traced in judo, so you can look that up and figure it out for yourself. Next, Snake uses another move I like, which is from judo. It's called a hip toss, and involves putting your opponent's weight onto your hip, lifting them up, and then dropping them on the floor beside you. Next, we have a trip from a chokehold grab position. This is kind of working like a reverse leg sweep, where he's swinging back his leg, knocking his opponent's leg forwards, while putting his hand on the back of their head and pushing them downwards. Here Snake starts by throwing a palm strike to his opponent's face, which is followed by a cross towards their stomach, which is followed by a low roundhouse kick to their side, which is then followed up with a finishing hook with his right hand. Also note how he managed to keep his eyes on his opponent's gun the whole time and was constantly knocking it out of the way between strikes, making this a practical combo. Next up we have a 2-in-1. First I want to talk about Snake's technique when he's grabbing soldiers and dragging them around. It's not very practical. Although keeping his hand on the opponent's the elbow crease and a hand around the neck applies pressure in key points of what's called resistance, it's still feasible for after a while for his opponent to struggle out of that or use the other hand to try to punch. Now, especially when Snake takes out the gun here, because he's not pointing it at his opponent's face, and if the guy's smart, eventually he's going to try to get out of this, grab that gun, but in this game they just don't resist whatsoever. A good game where grabbing and dragging is shown realistically would probably be The Last of Us, because your opponent's not going to want to stay in their arms like they do in this game. They're going to look for every opportunity to get out of it. So, although for grabbing them and interrogating them with a knife, or immediately choking them out or throwing them to CQC is great, walking around with them like Snake does in this game just wouldn't likely happen. It might, but don't count on it. Next we have the chokehold variation that comes when Snake is on the ground with his opponent. Again, this choke actually isn't really, I guess, encouraged in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because from this position your opponent can push up with their legs and resist, which, spoilers, shows that this move isn't very practical. However, it can work, especially since Snake still traps that arm and uses his weight to push down on the opponent's head and force it into his arm that's, of course, on the carotid arteries. So yeah, this can be done well, and will still make the person pass out after 6 seconds, but again, not as reliable as the other choke moves. A more reliable form of doing this choke would be completely lying down and wrapping your legs around your opponent's legs so that they can't use them to resist whatsoever. However, that's not an option in this game, and this is the best you get. Next, we have another very simple striking combo, in which Snake throws a palm strike forward just to put his opponent off balance. He then jams his leg and stomps it into the back of his opponent's knee, turns him around, and finishes him off with a hook. Again, the speedy and to the point nature of this combo can be traced back to JKD techniques. Here's another shove from the Here we have a leg sweep straight from the ground, which looks like Snake throwing a roundhouse directly into the guy's legs. This can either be traced back to Muay Thai or Taekwondo, and I doubt the practicality on this one. Now here's a technique that really showcases the strength of the means by which Snake holds his opponent. Notice how he immediately grabs that arm to make sure they can't resist with it. He slides his hand in there on the carotid arteries to apply constant pressure, and as soon as he has them within this position, he lets go of the arm only to whip out his knife and jam it directly into his opponent's throat before they have time to react. This move is practical, but it's all about your speed. Your opponent might be faster than you and they might catch that knife, but even so, you can just jam it in somewhere else, maybe stick it in their kidneys to be more practical, but there's nothing wrong with this way of doing it. I love this next move. It can also find its technique traced back to judo. Snake is using his opponent's momentum walking forward to grab him and then swing him around and ram his head into the wall next to him. Notice that Snake keeps that pressure like when he's holding people on the crease of the elbow and on the back of the head. Two parts where it's very hard to fight against. And because this guy was already walking forward, it was just very easy for Snake to come and grab him. Practical, but there's still a chance of failure here. So there you have it, guys. That's some of the CQC moves that Snake uses in this game, and their practicality. If you want me to make more videos about this, or go more in depth, like and subscribe, leave some comments if you guys have questions. I can go and make videos about one specific move, or I can just make a part 2 and include moves that I didn't manage to record for this list. Anyways, you guys let me know, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.